Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first live cast of 2022. Can you believe it is 2022 already? When did that happen? And I want to apologize for the image being flipped. My logo is the wrong way. I have no idea why YouTube is doing this. YouTube always seems to be a mystery whenever you do something. They change stuff. And I'm very familiar with unflipping images in all the other platforms. But for some reason, YouTube has decided to flip us today, and I cannot unflip us. So if you happen to know of where a button is to unflip this, that'd be great. I can tell you I have a monitor here, a monitor here, a monitor here, and a monitor here, all showing my output, and my output up to YouTube is correct. So it has to be flipped on the YouTube side. Anyway, with that caveat aside, I want to thank everybody for watching. We had an amazing, just mind-blowing 2021. We did so many things. We went so many places, and we did more than 52 videos. We started 2021 with doing one video a week. By the middle to later part of the year, we started to do 2 videos a week, sometimes putting out 3. So it was a very busy season. I am going to say that for the next few probably months of 2022, we are going to be going back to a 1 video a week schedule. And that's for a couple reasons. First off, 2 to 3 videos a week means that I don't have time for any live casts. I just don't. We're basically running after everything the whole time, constantly chasing my tail. I still do some client work outside of this show. I work on other shows as well that you may or may not watch, may or may not be familiar with. But anyway, I'm a lot of different places. So because of that, I don't always... Did somebody... do not click that link. They will steal your info. Did somebody throw in a link? When did that happen? Anyway, sorry. Got distracted with the chat. Okay, so what I was saying is basically we want to have more time for chats like this. Also, we just got a lot of stuff going on. So we're going to be doing 1 video a week, probably for the next 2 to 3 months. We'll see how it goes. Particularly my February travel schedule is nuts. I think I'm doing something with Larry over at Ammo that month. I might also be jetting off to Eastern Africa for a thing or two. I'm still waiting for final confirmation on that. So lots of stuff going down. So the title of this video is, of course, all about our long-term press cars. And I will jump into the chat here in just a few minutes. But I just want to kind of first start with a overview of where we started, where we're at now, and possibly where we're going. So as you all know, about 2 years ago, we bought a Subaru Crosstrek Sport. Now that vehicle we bought for 2 purposes. First off, the pandemic had just gotten underway. Cars were impossible to get, but not quite as impossible as they would be to get. At the time, we thought they were pretty impossible, but actually, that was nothing. Right now, it is, they are unobtainium, it seems, to be able to get exactly what you want. But so we bought the Crosstrek Sport August 30th of 2000, and that was the 2021. It was the first time anybody had reviewed the Crosstrek Sport. We bought it the day it landed at the dealer, and the next day I had the video up. And that video has done fantastic. We've had a lot of fun with that vehicle. My wife has requested that she have it for her daily driver. So we are keeping that one for as long as my wife wants to continue to drive it. I can pull it in for episodes here and there, but it is probably not going to be like a continuous vehicle, mostly for the simple fact that it's a 2021 and it's now 2022. And that leads me to the next car that I bought after that, which was the... Wait. Let me get my shot set up here. Sorry, I'm doing 2 things at once. There. Okay. This one, my 4Runner, which I love the 4Runner. It's a great vehicle. I bought it in February of last year, put 20,000 miles on it, dented this one side, scratched the other side, and I sold it for basically what I bought it for, because that is the craziness of the market right now. So I'm going to look in the comments for people screaming, because yes, I did sell it. I don't have the 4Runner anymore. And I will tell you, there's 2 reasons why I don't have the 4Runner anymore. And that is because, first and foremost, it's a 2021. There were some minor changes for 2022. And that leads to the second point, which I feel like editorially, we had done the basics that basically we did what we set out to do with that vehicle. Being that it was a 2021, time to move on to a 2022. I hope that we'll be able to buy a all-new 4Runner in 2023, and we will add one back to the garage at that time. Mostly it's just keeping on the edge of all the vehicles that we need for for our shoots here, and making sure to keep things fresh, essentially. So the general rule is we will always have long-term vehicles that match the year of which we're doing it, because we don't have an endless amount of money, and we basically need to keep things moving. So got rid of the 4Runner. And I also want to point out, I can get 4Runners from Toyota all the time. In fact, there's a TRD Sport right now, which I'm a little confused by that particular trim level. That one is available in fleet. We put a request in to do a filming with it. So, I mean, we can get 4Runners. They're pretty easy to get. So that then leads to the next vehicle, which is the, don't want to shot inside myself here. Sorry, I'm doing 20 things at once here. The next vehicle we got was, of course, the Ford Maverick. The Ford Maverick is a vehicle that actually I like way better than I thought I would. The model we got, of course, is the turbocharged 2-liter with the all-wheel drive system. It's fast. It's fun to drive. Yeah, the interior is plasticky. It just is. But it's a fairly inexpensive vehicle for what it is. I mean, we have a fully loaded Lariat with pretty much every option except for a sunroof, and it still costs the same price as an entry-level Ranger. So if you want a Ranger, yeah, get a Ranger. Totally makes sense. But I've been really happy with the Maverick, both in the way that the videos have been received. Everybody's been really stoked to see those videos to a certain point. I mean, okay, every once in a while, I have had a couple comments of people saying, okay, we've had a lot of Maverick videos. Can we have a break? But we had a lot of opportunity to do to do some fun stuff with tires, and we're going to do more of that as soon as we can actually access our property again, because right now it's under about 5 feet of snow. We just had a record-setting snowstorm hit the Pacific Northwest, froze the lowlands, froze the highlands, and in the last couple days, it's dropped like 3 feet of snow on top of the snow that was already there. And all the passes are closed. Earlier today, I-5 was closed. So technically, the only way out of the Pacific Northwest from Western Washington was by jet or by going through Canada. We were basically an island in the world for a short period of time today. I believe I-5 has reopened. Not 100% sure about that, possibly with a diversion around the floodwaters. So good times here in the Pacific Northwest. But anyway, having a lot of fun with the Maverick. It's a great usable truck. And the funny thing is, like, I was one of the first people to buy a Maverick. I went down to the Ford dealer. I basically just said, I know Mavericks are coming to the lots. Which ones do you have coming that you have not sold? And they sold me their dealer demo, which was going to go for the floor. They just sold it to me. Paid MSRP, no additional money of any kind. Showed up, picked it up. And the neat thing is that, so I've had this car for months. Several journalist friends of mine are just now getting into it. I've had 2 calls today from people going, man, this Maverick, it's actually really cool. And I'm like, yeah, it is actually pretty cool. I kind of almost wonder, like, I mean, when you think about it, $25,000 for 250 horsepower, all-wheel drive, add a couple thousand more for the towing package, and you can tow 4,000 pounds. I mean, what's not to like about that? And if you want the hybrid for 20 grand with just like mid 40 MPGs, that's nuts. Like, why would you get a Prius? Get that. It's way cooler. Anyway, so we're going to keep that vehicle, probably not going to keep it forever, even though I love it. I think it's a great little truck. Most likely that one will be traded in if and when there's a Maverick Tremor edition or equivalent. Basically what I want is the dual clutched rear, and 1 more inch of ride height. That's kind of my Barbie dreamland that I want for that vehicle. If they come out with one of those, I will immediately trade it in for that. I might also trade it in for a new Ranger, or maybe a Ridgeline. I don't know. The problem right now is it's not really a matter of exactly what I want. It's a matter of what I can get. Because even as a journalist, I can't just call up a car maker and say, yeah, Subaru, send me a Forester. I mean, I did, but that was a temporary press loaner. If I want to buy one, I got to get in line just like everybody else. They do not let me cut the line. And because of that, I am very limited on what I can choose. So that leads to the next thing. Jeep Compass. Why did I buy a Jeep Compass? I got a few reasons for that one. First, I can actually play the video here in the background while I'm talking about it, so you don't just see my head yammering away here. Let's see. Let's switch it to that shot, and we'll cut that, and then we'll have that play. Great. I turned audio off, so you're not going to hear it. But anyway, the new Jeep Compass has a brand new interior that's inspired by the Wagoneer, which that's a Wagoneer interior there. And I've always liked the exteriors of the vehicle. I think it just happens to be a very handsome looking vehicle. And the Trailhawk is fairly capable, but I've never owned one. I've never owned a Jeep in my life. And I did want to get a Wrangler because so many other people have Wranglers. It just seems like, okay, well, yet another Wrangler video. I wanted to do something different. And then for 2022, they completely redid the interior on this vehicle. And I thought, hey, what the heck? Let's see if I can get one. So I had a trip that I already had to do in Houston, Texas. To get a rental car in Houston was going to cost about $3,000 for the type of shoot that I needed to do. And so I'm like, you know what? Hell, let's just buy a car. So I contacted the Jeep dealer down there, and I bought this one. It was on the truck when I ordered it, and it arrived before I did, and I drove it home. And if you follow the channel regularly, you know I've done, hey, there's my Maverick. I like that too. The Bronco Sport's great. Anyway, if you follow the Maverick, not Maverick, if you follow the channel, you've known that we've done a bunch of videos. I basically filmed 2 off-road adventures on the way home from Texas back to Seattle in this vehicle. It's actually really good. And again, I'm liking it better than I thought I would. And it really comes down to, it's just such a nice interior. Yeah, the software is buggy. The head unit does have some weird glitches. Like sometimes the seat warmers will automatically turn on. Sometimes they won't. The brightness of the head unit sometimes won't go dim at night. That's kind of annoying. You have to manually go in and readjust it. The little dial down on the left doesn't do anything for some reason. When I bring it in for service, I'll have them take a look at that. But anyway, it's really kind of odd. Just the little things that it gets wrong, but the rest of it is just really nice. I mean, of all the vehicles I have right now, it's the one I'm choosing to use as my daily. Will I keep it forever? No, absolutely not. I just think it's kind of fun right now. I definitely want to swap it out for a more capable vehicle, be that a full-size, regular Cherokee, if they should happen to do a significant update on the Cherokee, because it definitely needs an update. Or I might go with, if Toyota has something that's interesting. I'm pretty much wide open. The one thing, if you watch the channel, I just like all cars. I mean, I like some cars better than other cars, and some cars are better than other cars, but I just seem to really enjoy a lot of different things. And the Trailhawk has been pretty good. Now, I do have a new video coming out. Like, we just did the Maverick off-road in the snow, and we just did the Forester Wilderness off-road in the snow. And then we also did the same shoot with the Jeep Compass. And I think that video is 1 or 2 weeks out. It depends on how I can't remember what we've done with our schedule. I think we have Grand Cherokee coming out next. And then after that, we'll have Compass in the deep snow after that. And then somewhere coming up, we have Mach E GT. I'm actually filming that right now. And then we also have Wagoneer, Grand Wagoneer coming up. And then finally, we have Pathfinder. Nissan's finally getting us some vehicles. It's taken way too long. I think they're 2021s. I don't care at this point. I just want to test them. So we have those coming up as well. Now, let me jump into comments and see where the heck we are. Oh, my goodness. That's so many comments already. I want to thank everybody for joining, by the way. This is really kind of fun. I love doing these things. For those of you who are a little confused, Peter Hadfield up there is commenting, hello, fellow purple kangaroo. That was my high school. We had a purple kangaroo as a mascot. I believe there's only 2 US-based schools that have purple kangaroos. And yep, Kirkland, Washington, the Lake Washington High School has the purple kangaroos. So there we go. Okay, so Cheaper Charlie, Subaru Forester was a beast on the snow and hill. Yes, it was. And driving the Forester back to back, which we didn't really include much of that in the video because we were time constrained, but driving it back to back with the GKN-based systems that are in the Maverick and the Compass, yeah, they actually have the same all-wheel drive system, just with different programming. It was really interesting how much more Subaru's traction control allows for rotation of the vehicle. I never lost it, but it just feels more tail happy with momentum. I mean, clearly it's not a rear wheel drive car, so you're not overpowering the rear, but it allows for that rotation, which just makes it so much fun in the snow. I really enjoyed that. Of the three vehicles, the Forester was by far the most fun in the snow. Is that a spoiler alert? Because we haven't done our third video in that series yet. Anyway. Let's see. Moving on down. I'm curious to see if the almighty dent in the 4Runner is repaired. No, it is not. I sold the vehicle and I'm allowing somebody else to fix it for me. And I lost no money on it. Also, that vehicle was going to be, if I sent it in for dent repair, it was going to be probably, because everything is so backed up right now, it was probably going to be out of service for weeks. And that's not okay. We do a lot of productions, and I didn't want to have a vehicle out that long. Anyway, where was that picture taken? Oh, the picture of the 4Runner. Let me pop that back up on the screen here for those who might have missed it. This picture of the 4Runner. This was actually on the road trip that we did on the way between Seattle and Denver, when we were on the way to go get the side dented. Oop, that's a totally different place. When we were driving the 4Runner down to do the shootout with Robert Champion in Denver and TFL, that was a quick stop in, where was it? Wyoming. I think we were on the tip of Wyoming, and we jumped off and did some photos. We basically jumped off and did a whole bunch of photos along the whole trip, and that was just one of them. Okay, moving on down. I'm not flipped. Oh, maybe it's just flipping for me because, I hate it when things flip for the producer. It's like, why do you do that? I'm a professional. Normally, I go through more layers. I'll go through a third-party system or something, but this one I'm just doing a direct stream straight to YouTube. So anyway, if I'm not flipped, that's great. I'll know just to ignore how they're playing back for me here, because this is obnoxious. Let's see. Moving on down. Where was that picture? When did that happen? You're not flipped. Okay, that's good. Do not click the link. They'll say blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, 2 years. What car do you like? Okay, what car do I like? I like all cars. If they don't fail me. When something fails me, that's when it's on my list. And the failure has to be pretty dramatic. Like, if something overheats, sometimes it depends on what I'm doing to it. If I'm like, yeehaw, and it overheats, it's kind of on me, maybe, but maybe it's on the car. It depends on the context. I like lots of things. And yeah, Suzuki Quad King, yes, I sold the 4Runner because I do not have an endless supply of money, and I want to flip my vehicles over, so I'm always using modern vehicles. I always have the current year for what year we're doing, because our channel is primarily new cars. So I want to make sure I continue to have a stream of new cars. And I didn't want to lose the 4Runner to a repair shop for a month or 2 months or however long they ended up taking. Okay. But, I just feel I need to reiterate here. We can get 4Runners from Toyota, and we're going to. We already have a request in for the TRD Sport. I'm going to get the TRD Pro as soon as I can. We got lots of stuff coming up, so don't worry about that. Okay. Number V6, I'm correct. Ryan doesn't own V6s. Yes. Jerome, I do not own V6s anymore right now. I have a 2-liter turbo. I have a 2.4 naturally aspirated. Oh yeah, and by the way, the engine in the Compass, that's not okay. It doesn't feel too slow, but there's nothing great about it. In this era of the greatest engine, there's so many really good engines right now. Powertrains are just nuts. And meanwhile, the Jeep Compass has the same old 2.4 liter Tiger Shark, which it's fine. It's fine. I have no complaints. I'm fine driving it every day, but it's just not exciting. It's like, okay. I actually would look forward to getting back to a V6 or at least a high output turbo. And so that's kind of one of the main reasons why I'm not going to hang on to the Compass forever. Actually, I'm not going to hang on to anything forever, but I will probably swap it as soon as I can get a 2023. And I am looking for suggestions for what you guys want to see. So go ahead and start popping some suggestions into chat so we can talk about what's coming up. Because should I get a Solterra? Subaru's electric. I don't have an electric socket out on the property, but I do plan on adding one as soon as I can add a building of some kind. But getting anybody to actually build anything these days is really tough. Okay, moving on back to questions here. I love my Maverick. I got the bottom of the line. Oh, you got the bottom of the line. James Houston said he got a Maverick with the bottom of the line, but he got a moonroof. James, is yours a hybrid, or did you go with the all-wheel drive turbo? Post a comment. If you're going to get a Maverick, that is useless. Get a Ranger. Like the ride of the Maverick, get an Escape. Want to go off-road? Get a Bronco Sport. I actually agree the Bronco Sport is good, especially if you get the Badlands with the dual clutch, the Twinster rear end. That is a really, really good setup. When I first drove, it's kind of funny because I didn't get I wasn't on the press launch for the Bronco Sport. I'm not on Ford's list, but I used to do the launches with Ford, and I always found them really hard to shoot out the way they structured them. So I'm kind of okay with that. But the first time I sat in a Bronco Sport was actually at a dealer. I saw one had shown up at the dealer, so I went down, I drove it around the block. I'm like, not great. But when I actually took the thing off-roading, it was like, this thing is really good. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the interior. I think it's okay. But the fact that you can get that 250 horsepower all-wheel drive, honestly, if I didn't have the 4Runner at the time, and if I didn't already have the Maverick, I would absolutely get a Bronco Sport Badlands if I could. Stock issues make it so it's not really possible. I got the Jeep in lieu of the Bronco Sport because I don't want two Fords. We're not a Ford show. So will I get one eventually? Maybe on the next redesign. We'll see. See, that's it. Well, every year is going to be like it's going to be like was that roulette? We're going to see what cars do we end up with for that year. We should probably make a big event every year where we just unveil what our long-termers are going to be for the whole year every year. Yeah. So one thing that I see a lot of requests for certain vehicles that you guys think that we should test. I want to make it like, you know how cars are really hard to buy right now. If you actually wanted to go down to a dealer and buy a specific car, you can't. You got to put it in order and hope in 6 months they build it, or you roll the dice and see what they have. Usually you're not going to get what you want. So it's kind of the same way with the press fleets right now. Some car manufacturers are producing enough that they can actually fill the press fleets with at least a few options. But man, there's a whole lot of holes in our fleet. They're like half the size. No, they're actually smaller than half the size of what they've been in the past. They're very small right now. So there's not a lot of press cars that we have to choose from. So like somebody's suggesting we should do a Ram. Yeah, I'd love to do a Ram. Can't get one. There's none in the press fleet right now. And I mean, I could go out. I mean, what I would have to do is basically go buy one, and I already have one truck right now. So maybe 2023. Adam, like the Forester Wilderness snow video. Thank you. I enjoyed making that one. Michael Letmer. Oh, hey, Michael. Michael used to work for me, by the way. Sell me the Maverick when you're done. Yeah. I don't know. Would you be willing to pay what the dealers are paying these days? Because I'm basically getting free cars. I just have to come up with the first payment, the first money on it. See a 4XE Grand Cherokee. You know what? I would love any 4XEs. They had scheduled a Jeep Wrangler 4XE for us to test. 3 days out, they shipped it away somewhere else to some big event, then it never came back. So we didn't get it. And that is the life of waiting for cars. I do want to see the new Z, even though we focus a lot on SUVs and crossovers because we're in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of a Northwest thing. I still really enjoy sports cars. I look forward to testing the Z when I can finally get one. A car like that, I kind of feel like we need to actually test it on our own location. So I'm whether or not I'm invited to the press launch, I don't really care. I look forward to getting it up here where I can do some more consistent testing with it. But anyway, we'll see what shakes out on that one. EcoBoost. The Compass does have a great interior, James. Dip your toes into the PHEV segment. I had somebody once tell me, like, I know you're not into electric. It's like, when did I say that? I like electric cars. I really like electric cars. I have the Mach-E GT downstairs right now, really like that car. I'm not sure if I'd buy it though, because that's Lexus GX money, like brand new GX. But key point, I really like electrics, and I'm looking forward to like what was that little cruiser that Toyota did? It was called the when they did their big EV reveal, and they had the little the little Land Cruiser electric looking thing. Now that may not be an actual product. For all we know, they had their interns go render a few things off and stick them in the background, and they're not actual real things in development. I hope they're real, because I would be all over that little thing. I am looking forward to electric cars. I want electric cars. But I don't necessarily want an ID4. I mean, ID4 is fine, but it's a commuter car. It's a fine commuter car. I have nothing against it. I think I like it better than some other journalists because I'm not terribly picky. I mean, does anybody care if they made some decisions about the structure and they added some extra structural components at the last minute? Who cares? You buy a car, you drive it for 3 to 10 years. You get a new one. This isn't like, let's not all be so judgy about, what they did to make the car better. True story. Our Kia and Mazda dealers share the lot. Yeah, that's actually not unusual. We used to have one up the street that was like that. Right now, as we speak, absolutely empty. Yeah, nothing. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So my company actually does a lot of work with AutoNation Corporate, and we do some stuff with their retail locations. And I can tell you, I've been to a lot of the retail locations in the last year. They are not unique, but the lots were empty for a long time. I think they're finally now starting to get some cars in, but last year was tough. So Rivian. Yeah, I would love a Rivian. Actually, there's some hope there because a Rivian dealer just opened up like 3 blocks away from our office here in Bellevue, Washington. What do you think of the Yokohama tires on the Forester Wilderness compared to the Falcon tires on my wife's Subaru? Now, I have to note that the Falcon tires are the Wild Peak Trails that are on my wife's Crosstrek Sport. They are an optional tire that you can buy aftermarket. They are not available from Subaru. Subaru comes with just general all-season tires on that vehicle normally. The Falcon Wild Peaks Trails I do like, but I got the Trails because I wanted my wife to have the minimal amount of extra noise in the cabin because she doesn't take that off-road ever. But I wanted something that would be, give her a little bit more capability if we're stuck in snow. The way it snows in the Pacific Northwest is it's 36 degrees. Nobody's going to predict snow. It's not going to snow. It's not going to snow. And then all of a sudden it dumps snow and nobody can get where they need to go. So it's kind of nice to have a 3-peak rated tire on your vehicle just for that reason alone, especially because my wife shuttles the kids around. So for my own peace of mind and for also the reviews that we film, I thought it was a nice compromise tire to go with. I like it. I'm not enthused by it. I like the AT3Ws better. I like the Vredestein Pinzas better. But I like a more aggressive tire. I kind of think that, really for myself, if I'm going to be going to an all-terrain tire, go all the way. Don't go halfway. They're really not that. Pinzas and Wild Peak AT3Ws, they're really not that loud. Only if you're super susceptible to extra humming at lower speeds. Specifically, the Wild Peaks make, I think, the most noise, probably around like 20, 40 miles per hour. A little extra noise on the freeway too, but it's not so bad. It's not something that I've ever even thought twice about. Honestly, I just drove that Jeep. Actually, I fit in this window. So I was visiting my grandmother. She's turning 98 next month. She still lives on her own. In 2 months is when she turns 98. She still lives on her own. She lives in Coeur d'Alene, and I'm in Seattle. And so I drove from here. I picked up my brother. We drove the Jeep there and back through one snowstorm and came back right before the next one hit and closed everything down for 3 days. And that is on the Falcon Wild Peak AT3Ws. So literally I did hundreds of miles, didn't think twice about the road noise. And when the snow did hit, I didn't care because they're 3-peak rated and they're fine. Actually, funny story. On the way back, we were going over I-90 and I was driving and I turned to my brother and I said, by the way, things are going to start to get weird because we're on black ice. And I was like, and 10 seconds later, everybody in front of us started like realizing it and freaking out. And then we all had to dodge a RAV4 that had apparently spun right before we came to this corner and slammed into a bridge. It seemed like the driver and passenger were fine, and we saw police coming to respond. So we didn't need to do anything, not like we could, because we're driving on black ice. So woo woo. Anyway, nothing's great on black ice, but I felt, as confident as you can on black ice with the Wild Peaks. I mean, nothing outside of spike tires is going to be good on ice. And obviously black ice was a big problem, but on the snowpack sections, I definitely felt confident enough with Wild Peaks and they were fine. Not as good as a dedicated snow tire, not as good as spikes if you got them. So just want to make sure we caveat that. Boy, I just went off 10 minutes on that one. Okay, F-150 Lightning. I would love one. I have a current problem with all the vehicles that are currently offered, and that is the fact that it seems like most of them, what's that new Avalanche? The new electric Avalanche that GM is putting out, the Chevy, I can't remember, it's the Silverado electric or something, the EV. Why are they all $100,000? I mean, and they're not like functional at $100,000. They're just fun. And that's cool. Some people want that. That's cool. I'm not going to buy one though. I mean, I need $100,000 of utility out of something. I want tank treads if I'm spending $100,000 on it. And not there. Even the Lightning is going to be a little too expensive for us to buy here, because I can buy two vehicles for the price of even an entry level Lightning, if you could even get an entry level. And who wants the entry level? You want extended range, so you're going to spend 70 to 80 grand on one of those anyway. So I will wait until they put one in the press fleet. I know they eventually will. We will eventually get one, probably sooner than if I bought one, because I'm not in line. So I know the guys over at TFL just bought one. I think does pick up an SUV talk. I think they also ordered one. Actually, I'm not sure. No, he just ordered one of the Avalanche things, the Chevys. Anyway, okay. Off-roading the BZ4X would be fun. Yes, Adam, it would be if it doesn't suck. And we don't know if that's true yet or not. Let's not make any assumptions. Hopefully it's great. Is your Maverick good MPG? Yeah, actually, I mean, for what it is, we get mid 20s on the freeway, so like 25, 27, and that's doing 70, which is I think is actually pretty good for the amount of horsepower that thing has. It's equaled or better than the Jeep Compass, which has way less horsepower, and it's definitely better than the 4Runner. I mean, that's the one negative thing with the 4Runner is, of course, MPGs could be a little better. And it's not a particularly fast vehicle, even with a V6. So, the 4Runner is not perfect. However, it is perfect probably 90% of the time. It's just such a great vehicle. Okay, any thoughts on the 2023 4Runner 6th Gen? I think that, it's the Tundra, essentially. It'll be some variation of everything that we saw with the Tundra. There probably will be no recovery hooks because for some reason, Toyota doesn't think those are relevant. It'll have probably a 4-cylinder turbo. It'll be a scaled down version of the TRD Pro, or the hybrid that's in the Tundra. You'll probably have looks that are very similar. We'll probably get the Paul Senior mustache chrome. So it's gonna carry on the same basic concepts, but it's gonna go with a hybrid. I think. I don't think they're gonna go with full PHEV or anything like that for those style of vehicles. Toyota sells enough hybrids as it is. They just don't need to pursue the credits, and that's what a lot of it is. Federal pressure to be able to, you have to produce electric because you need to get you need to get your overall fleet MPGs and electric capacities up. And so I think they're probably going to go with a hybrid. It'll be very mid-range. I mean, it's going to be mild. It's going to be a mild solution, very similar to what we saw with the Tundra, a hybrid setup. Whether they offer another powertrain choice, I don't know. But Toyota in the 4Runner and even just all the vehicles in that kind of category, they don't seem to have a huge lineup of powertrains. So it's possible that when it first launches, it might have two options, maybe a Turbo 4 and a Hybrid 4, but I don't know. We'll see. I do like, by the way, the crawl control. Kind of, I like it and I don't like it, but the crawl control in the new Tundra, the TRD Pro, It's so quiet. It's very capable. And I love the fact that they use the electric motors where they are optimized most. It's like 100% torque at 0 RPM. That's a good thing. That's very useful for that type of functionality. But it's so quiet. You can't tell that it's doing anything. And I actually really like that on the 4Runner when you put it in a crawl control. It's like, it really felt like you were like, chopping through the muck that you needed to get through. So I thought that was kind of cool, but I think that's going away. Alan, yeah, all these new pickups are so heavy with their larger batteries. Yeah, and they are going kind of, I think, a little further than they need to. I mean, you look at the new Chevy that they announced, what is it, 600 horsepower, 800 pound-feet, bazillion pound-feet of torque. I don't know. It's like at $100,000, I'm kind of ambivalent to them. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, oh, there's a cheaper one too. It's like, yeah, but you can't order that. So it's as real as the Cybertruck is at this point, which is, it doesn't exist. Let's see. Adam, again, you're saying the Geolander ATs on your Outback Wilderness are quiet, pretty decent snow grip. Yeah, actually, the Yokohama Geolanders on the Wilderness models, they're fine. They're good. I think that actually one thing that I love is the fact that it's a snow-rated tire that I can actually test, because manufacturers do not allow us to change tires for 100 different reasons. So we are stuck testing with what they send us. And thank God there's some vehicles that have snow-rated tires on them outside of a Raptor, for example. And so that's pretty cool. And their performance is fine. Actually, I thought the performance when we did the Forester Wilderness in the snow episode recently, I would be totally fine with that. Now, I'm not going to go out and pay money for it because I want more aggressive grip. I want a more aggressive chunk because we do more mud and dirt. And even as it is, the AT3W isn't great in mud because it has a tendency to cake up very quickly. And the Geolander would be right in there. It would probably cake instantly. So a little bit more of a chunky knobby I would prefer, but I don't want to go full mud terrain because that's its own issues. Okay, moving on. My take on the EVs. Well, I think they're pretty cool. They kind of feel the same. Yeah, electric motors have no character. I do like electrics. I like electric motors, but they do lack a certain character. And driving the Ford Mach-E GT definitely kind of drives that home. I enjoy the speed. I enjoy the performance. It's fine. Yeah. Anyway, do you already know the biggest difference between the BZ4X and the Solterra? Yes, I will list you all the specific differences between the two. One has a Subaru badge and the other has a Toyota badge. Wait, do I have crickets? No, I have dinosaur, sad dinosaur. Oh, here we go. And they'll probably cost different. But other than that, they're basically the same vehicle. And I think that's a little disappointing. I was so surprised to see X mode on the Toyota version of the two. I'm kind of confused by that. So it's a weird world that we're heading into, I think. Yeah. Give me the cons of the 4Runner. There are cons. Yes, Devin is asking for cons of the 4Runner. I would say the biggest cons are so the Limited has the full-time four-wheel drive. Every other one does not, essentially. I know there's some like weird trims that do, but for all intents and purposes, none of the off-road models have the full-time four-wheel drive. I think if you're getting a 4Runner, the off-road models are the ones that are the most appealing, but you cannot get them with full-time four-wheel drive. A lot of people, and by a lot of people, I think most normal people I talk to who aren't part of the industry have no idea when to engage for high with their 4Runner, with their Tacoma, or any vehicle where you have a high-low transfer case. And I think that's kind of a problem. Do you want to shift between two-wheel drive and four-wheel drive? Do you know when to do that? If you're industry or if you watch a lot of videos or you do a lot of off-roading, it's obvious, but to the regular person, it's a complete mystery. They have no idea when to do it. I would really hope that an auto four-wheel drive is an option on all the new 4Runners. Because it's not on the new Tundras, I would be surprised if it is on the new 4Runners. But I think that's, if they want to expand appeal of that vehicle to a wider base, it's something they need to add to the vehicle. That is a problem. The ride I like. It is old school. Turning radius ain't great. I love the way that the seats flip up and then down, so you actually have like a brace for anything in the trunk before it hits your seat. I actually really like that. I wish more vehicles would do that. But yeah, I think that's probably my only complaint with the vehicle. That, and I don't know, it kind of drives like an old vehicle. I mean, which is fine. There's a certain charm in that. It's like the opposite of an electric car. Its faults make it charming. Yeah. So if you like old school, if you don't mind two-wheel, four high, four low, and going from two-wheel drive to whatever. The one thing that I wish, if you're driving, I don't know how it is in the rest of the country, but in like the Pacific Northwest, we have these weather patterns or these things where there's a little snow on the road, there's a little water on the road. It's not really dry enough to go two-wheel drive. It's not really wet or slippery enough for four-wheel drive. And at that point, an auto mode would be kind of nice. Again, it doesn't kill it for me. If the next one, I am buying the next 4Runner, absolutely. And so if the next one comes out and it doesn't have an auto four-wheel drive, that's not going to deter me at all. I'm still going to buy one. So, but they need to make it available and then I'll buy one. But we don't know if, when, or where that'll be coming up. Okay. Do you prefer dedicated off-roader should have removable tops like the Wrangler? No, I hate them. And I hate them because it's a very Pacific Northwest thing. And I'm sorry, but I am a product of the Pacific Northwest. It can be sunny out. You're going to go off-roading. It'll be raining on you in 20 minutes. As soon as you get on the trail, you're heading down the trail, it's going to rain on you. That's just the way it is. And also it makes a more miserable experience on the freeway, which anybody who's off-roading, you have to drive on the freeway usually to get to those locations, sometimes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to do that. And I prefer a more comfortable experience. I do like the top off-roading thing, but the idea of where do you put the top, you can't leave it at home in the Northwest because you cannot rely on the weather outside of 3 weeks in July. It can rain drop of a hat. And so because of that, we never go top. I've never once seen a Jeep with its top off-roading in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm thinking that they're a feature that people say they want, but then they get it home and they're like, man, this thing's kind of heavy. Where am I going to put this? And they never take it off. So I actually like if the big Bronco had a fully enclosed version with no removable top, I might have actually ordered one of those, but they don't. So not interested. Collaborations in the queue. The only collaboration that I am currently actively discussing with is Jason Fensky, buddy of mine from Engineering Explained. We've talked about doing stuff. That's where we're at right now, doing stuff. Don't know when, don't know where, don't know why, but we're going to do something at some point. So I've known Jason for many years, and I look forward to doing something with him on camera finally, but we just haven't been able to line up stuff yet. Specifically, he's been kind of crisscrossing the country, and we just haven't been able to line up. But TFL has an open invitation to come out to our test facility. I would like them to probably wait, though, until we're a little bit more set up over there. It's a slow process. And as I stated in the Ford, I think it was in the Ford Raptor video, I'm in the process of trying to acquire the adjacent property next to the property, so we'll be twice as big. So I'm holding off on any major road modifications until that is done. But right now we're covered under 5 feet of snow anyway, so it doesn't matter. Let's see. I love old school. Gonna miss the 4-liter 5. Yeah. Let's see. Jerome says, true story. A friend of mine came up to me and said, man, my LJU sucks in snow. I asked, did you put it in 4 high? His reply, what on earth are you talking about? Yeah. Being in the industry and being a motorsport or an off-roading kind of guy, fan, whatever, the stuff that we just take for granted, normal people don't know. I was talking to one of my neighbors. He had a Tacoma, and he was really unclear as to when to engage for high, and he had owned it for a little while. But it's great. I'm glad he was willing to discuss it, and we were able to. I was able to explain a little bit more about it. So, it's up to us to educate people about those things, and I hope that I'm doing a good job. And I think that is going to have to be the end of this particular live stream. I have more live streams we're going to do. I'm probably going to keep them a little bit more focused, but we haven't done one in a long time. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great weekend. What am I doing? I think I am going to finish filming the Mach-E. We were going to do it during the week because I normally try to keep my work in weekdays, but it's been pouring rain all week. After the snow was followed by massive amounts of rain. So I couldn't do it. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again right here. Be sure to subscribe, like, all the stuff. You do it. You're great. Thanks, guys. We'll see you again later. Bye.